right now are obese.
It's not only health, it's about survival and well-being of the United States as a nation.
You don't crave broccoli, and our generation has grown up craving a Big Mac.
I want to think that there's something better for me.
Unless we're able to control this epidemic, we're going to have an abundance of chronic disease.
All of us have to be part of the solution to reduce obesity.
The weight of the nation is out of control, but we can fix that.
If we don't now take this as a really urgent national priority, we are all going to pay a really serious price.
Obesity will crush the United States in oblivion.
Hey. Welcome. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I know I am. My name is Dr. Tread Rissacker, and I'm going to be your host here for the next hour on my Slim Body Laser Spa's Health and Wellness Show. And we are going live. It's live right now on Facebook.com, my own Facebook page, Slim Body Laser Spa. And then it will be available online. What is it? On WSTU.com. Is that right, Evan? Is that the URL where they find it? Or is it WPSL? WSTUTV.com. But I can also tell you that if you just go to your YouTube channels and you put under the search term, put in Dr. Tread, DRTRED, and it will come up with 15 pages of videos because I have a very unique name, and I thank my mom and dad for that. I never had to worry about having a duplicate name for me. So anyway, it's a fantastic day to be alive. I want you to know that I'm going to bring you some really important information today about this COVID and the medical model and this medical process which is going on and how I see what's happening. There's some really good resources here today. And one of them is what you can do if you were to get tested positive with COVID. There's some statements from the Pope here. We have statements from Facebook employees about the COVID, about the National School Board issued an apology after being called out for calling parents terrorists. We have information on religious exemptions and medical exemptions if you do not wish to take the shot. There's a nice paper here on COVID-19. Is it a bioweapon? And this was written by a Dr. Fleming, who's very well referenced. There's some papers here on that COVID vaccines destroy the natural immunity. They make people dependent on booster shots. And that's the UK Health Security Agency revealed that. Now, I knew about this for a long time, that it decreases your immune system. Imagine that. And here's the proof. I have another paper from a Dr. Ardis, ARDIS, who has a very large document, and I'll hold it up in front of my Facebook camera here. And it's on COVID-19 disease protection protocol, how you can protect yourself from COVID-19. And I have a copy of it right here. I have some more here. How to get ivermectin. These are ways of getting it online with prescriptions with doctors that believe in natural health care. Here's another one with Synergy Health. Synergy Health is another online portal where you can get these life-saving antiviral medications not available here in your normal hospital. Here's another one from a company called All Day Chemist. Hold it up in front of the Facebook camera there. Another one called River Pharmacy. And this is confidence in medication at the best price. These are all telemeds. These are websites that you can go on, log on, and meet with a doctor, telemed, and get an honest opinion that's not being, hammered by the owner of the hospital or the doctor's office. Medicine is now owned by companies, corporate. So if you're a doctor and you're working at Cleveland Medical Clinic here in our beautiful South Florida area, you're an employee of Cleveland Clinic. You're not a sole proprietor anymore. You're working for them, and you're treating their clients and their patients, and you're using their treatments, and they're paying you. And that's what's happening now. So if you want to get outside of the medical model of remdesivir and intubation and waiting to see if you're going to live through COVID, you better get on the phone and get some of these telehealth people. And I'm giving you the resources right here. River Pharmacy, alldaychemist.com, synergyhealthdpc.com, flccc.com. This is another resource. And of course, you have the frontline doctors, American frontline doctors, if you need to get your HCQ and your ivermectin as a prophylactic. Yeah, good morning. I came in here with Evan and I looked right at him in the face and I says, Evan, I have a decision to make today. Do I promote my laser spa and stay in business, or do I try to save humanity? And I think humanity kind of wins here.
You know what I think it is? I follow you on Facebook and I see your videos and you're on your boat and I'm just jealous. And you're just, it seems like you just came right off the boat and you're just like, you're in heaven right now.
Did you like that?
That's
night? Did you like that night picture coming home
that was
at night
awesome.
in the dark?
That was so good.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It was amazing.
I left the 8 Mile Reef, and as I got in the seat and
Good
got everything all
stuff.
down and put my my GPS coordinates in for the St. Lucie Inlet, the moon was going down, the sun was going down. It was just incredible.
You're in your like element
that.
when you're out there on your boat. That's like nothing else. It's just you and your fishing pole and you're good to go.
And you actually start to feel the movement of the boat when you're and you're going over those waves. You're your whole body is moving. I had to put that on a video, but those are
good stuff,
videos.
man. Good stuff.
Did you like the red snapper
that
I released?
Yes.
See that stupid grin on my face?
Yes.
That says it all. That hat, the Dookie hat.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
So I've had a lot of success at the Slim Body Spa. And I'm grateful for that. I've also had a lot of health over the years. I mean, my dad, it was in the 1960s, paid the price. He was a chiropractor. He graduated in 1950 with a chiropractic degree, and he practiced vitalistic healthcare, vitalism, which is vitalism. There's two basic trends of thought here when it comes to healthcare, you guys. Okay. Now, please pay attention to this because this is really, really important about this. There's two trains of thought, and one let's look at it. If you were into fixing cars, okay, automobiles as a mechanic, and medicine, we're going to compare these two so you can understand this analogy. Within medicine, within healthcare, there's two real trains of thought when it comes to healing and helping people when they're sick. One is a vitalistic approach, and that means to do things to improve somebody's homeostasis, to do a treatment, to make recommendations which are going to allow somebody to be more resistant, to heal faster from a problem, to boost their immunity with natural remedies, not artificial things. In other words, to create more vitality, called vitalism. And this is really kind of under the under the heading of natural healthcare. In other words, we're not using medicines or drugs to try to treat symptoms. We're not trying to kill germs with some medical concoction, pharmacological, petroleum-based product, which is what they are, to kill germs. Your body needs germs. Germs are good. It's only when you have too many of them that they're bad, when they overwhelm the system, which is because you let your health go. You've ignored certain parameters of health. Now, not on everybody, but a lot of you out there are becoming infected. You're getting bacterial infections. You're getting viral attacks because your immune system is in the pooper. It's not well. You don't even understand what it is to have an immune system because they don't teach you that. They teach you, you just need this shot, get your yearly physical, get your blood work done, do your UA, try to walk, eat better, and hopefully you'll be okay. It's a lot more than that to build somebody's immune system. And that's because your immune system is a defense, is your first defense against, it's the only defense you have of living and preventing health and not dying. is your immune system. And your immune system needs nutrition, it needs exercise, it needs fresh water, it needs the right amount of nutrients and supplements, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, all these vitamins and supplements that don't seem like they're that important are really important because your body's ability, and also not only do you need nutrition and exercise to move the body, you also need rest and recuperation because the immune system is bolstered by sleep, by getting enough sleep. It's also helped through recuperation, allowing your body the chance to recuperate, and also having healthy activities like recreational activities are very, very important because otherwise you become very sickened with fear over just one action. You need to mix it up. You need hobbies and friends. It boosts your immune system. Sharing loving times with people, watching a movie where your heart goes, oh, that's so sweet. Oh my God. And you get a little tear. You just dumped enough serotonin to fix 100 people just from that one incident of watching that movie and feeling a little connected to it. That's a serotonin dump. What we're all looking for is serotonin. And that boosts your immune system. When you feel connected to people and you go into a situation where, at first you feel like you don't belong, and then you realize that you are loved and cared for, and you're in a safe place. That's a dump of serotonin. That's a dump of immunity that's more powerful than any antibiotic you can take. Hope and feeling together and belonging is an immune system boost. When you see people engaging, look at a baby and get their attention and smile to that child and watch the baby realize you're looking. And when you smile, they smile back, don't they? That's like, and you realize that, oh, look, he sees me. I'm smiling and I'm helping him feel better. People, that just boosted your immune system. Okay. It did. It raised your immunity because of that good feeling that had over that moment of connecting with that baby. And when the baby sees you and realizes you're smiling and not evil, the baby gets an immune response also from that. It boosts his immunity or her immunity because of that connection. That's what builds homeostasis, are these connections with people, which is why they're masking you, which is why they're separating you with masks. It's not about COVID. It's about immune system destruction because there's an agenda. And boy, I could go on about that, but I'm not going to go into it too much. Just understand that we need each other, brother. We need each other more than you could ever possibly imagine. If you think for 1 second that you could survive on this earth without the help from other humans, you are sorely mistaken. Try to sew a shirt for yourself. Okay? Go out, grow the cotton, strip it out, pull out the seeds, roll it into thread, weave it into a cloth, and think that you can make a shirt. Okay? You can't even light a fire on your own without the help from somebody else. There's a match, there's a little sulfur, they make a little lighter. You are so foolish if you think that you can live without people. It's not. It's absolutely. And not only do we need the things that they do, that beautiful guava that you're eating from Guatemala that came in the middle of the winter. It didn't grow here in America. It came from Guatemala. It came from another country where somebody labored to put those seeds in the ground, to clear the ground first, to make sure it was watered and protected. They grew those fruit. They packaged them. Somebody shipped them. Somebody put them to the store, brought them to you so you could eat your fruit. The amount of people that did something to have that happen is out of this world. If you knew that silly iPhone in your hand that you're flipping through, how that phone traveled back and forth from the USA to Asia, to China, back to Germany, back through the Brazil, back to America, and then back to China and back again because of all of the different factors and parts that go into making that iPhone. There's thousands of people involved in creating that phone. And they have a job and they have a reason to be because of your phone. We need each other. We can't live without each other. And not only that, but your body's immunity to defend from disease and defend from infections comes from each other. Your body, when you're born, is a blank slate. There is no immunity except what you've gotten from your parents, you were born with. And when you're born and you're hungry and you scream out at mommy for milk, those first gulps of milk that you get from mom's breasts are full of what they call colostrum. These are immunities that a mother produces in her breast milk to help a baby who doesn't have an immune system yet. The immune system hasn't been developed through exposure and then correction. Exposure, and then the body corrects and defends the next time. And each time you get exposed, when it comes back the second time, you're less likely to get sick from it. That's called an immune response. Okay? Our bodies do that all day long, every day. And without somebody coming up to you and exposing you to their biome, which is a nice name for their bacterial load, you can't be healthy. You have to experience that viral load or that bacteria to develop any kind of strength in your immune system. Remember, they kids that eat a little dirt, they say, have stronger immune systems than one that are kept out of the dirt. Why? Because they get immunity from the dirt. There's viruses and bacteria in there, and that's why kids get so many colds and so much runny noses, and they seem to get everybody's sickness. They're not sick. They are adapting to an exposure to either a bacterial substance, a toxin, or a virus, which is prevalent in that community, and they're developing the immune response antibody to that pathogen. And when you're young, your chances of dying for it are much less. You don't want to get the measles when you're 60 years old. Trust me. You want to get the measles when you're 3 and 4 years old. I'm telling you, because the chicken pox will take you out when you're old. Measles, it's a childhood illness. When you're young, you get over it. They used to have measles parties, for crying out loud. Chicken pox. Someone get a chicken pox, they have a little party. They bring everybody over, and they get immunity. And that brings up a story I had just read about on the news. And this is very interesting. It's about the Amish and the Mennonites in Pennsylvania who have conquered COVID. Did you read about that, Evan? So what happened is the Mennonites, who do not believe in medical treatment, they took a very different approach to the COVID-19. And what they did is they actually, they protected the elderly and they protected the people that would be vulnerable by separating them from the population. But what happened is, as soon as some key people started testing positive with COVID, they had a party. They had a big event on a Sunday where everybody from the community came out. And get this, the person with the COVID that was sick drank from a glass, and then they all shared the glass. They passed it around the whole community that were living in that area. And you know what? They inoculated themselves. Some people showed symptoms. Many did not. And the ones that showed symptoms, they were ready to handle with therapeutic treatments. But after that initial couple weeks of dealing with it, they developed a herd immunity that's absolutely stronger than anything they could have done if they came in with a bunch of shots. Now that it's pretty radical, pretty scary, really. You don't think that you have some gazungas there. And you're reading all of this, people dropping like flies from COVID, and somebody in your community tests positive, and everybody realizes that we all want a little bit of it to build a herd immunity. And they shared from the same glass for that whole weekend, And today they don't have the COVID. They don't have the sicknesses. They're out over it, and they're like, we're not going to take any vaccines. Why would we? We have natural herd immunity. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just giving you some information so you realize that maybe what you're getting, the information, the only treatment for this might not be the best choice. So, your immune system requires exposure to these pathogens in a way that your body is, when you're young enough and strong enough to handle it, and then you develop a wonderful immune system. And there's things that destroy your immune system too. So let's talk about the immune builders. These are things which build your immune system. And they're really, because your immune system is your health, how healthy you are, how much body fat you carry, how much you exercise, how well hydrated you are, if you're getting enough rest and sleep and recuperation, if you're avoiding toxins and poisons. These are immune system destroyers. Okay? If you're violating these natural laws of health, common sense stuff, your immune system will suffer. And you will be more vulnerable to dying even when you were to be infected with this bioweapon, which it is a bioweapon. I think that's been pretty clear. It didn't come from a bat. Some bat that was eaten in some market was filled with COVID coronavirus, and then it made somebody sick, and then they spread it through. And then no. This thing was developed years ago. In fact, if you're interested, I will tell you the timeline on the coronavirus. We have it now timeline, by the way. It's right here. It's called the timeline. Okay? And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to look at this picture on that I'm looking at right here. And this is basically in 2013, which happens to be Obama's reign. And Obama authorized gain-of-function research for coronavirus experiments back in 2013. He signed off on it. He didn't create it. He allowed it. So that's pretty scary to realize that. And what happened is, as they started to study these viruses for virulency, and the story is that these viruses were either created by the lab, or they came from this bat and jumped into humans because they cross transmitted. But we know today that that's probably not true, that these coronaviruses, which are cold viruses, were specifically created through gain-of-function research, which began in 2013, people, within a lab within America. And then by 2014 to 2015, the word was out that these testing was going on, and the government banned it from America. And what they did was they moved the technology and all the information over to China. And that's when, and Fauci has been involved since day one, as was our presidency. So the USA and China have partnered in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The funding and the money that went in to set up that lab and to create it was mainly paid for by the US government, because of the gain of function couldn't happen here in America. So they moved it to China. And the People's Republic Army of China, the PLA, is one of the main people that run and have access to the Wuhan lab of virology. In other words, it's part of the PLA's Chinese Republic Army. Okay. And there's no doubt about it. that China would love to dominate the rest of the world. What really concerns me is why our government funded, along with China, this type of research to develop viruses which infect humans and could literally remove the whole human population in one shot. I don't know why they would do that unless they're looking for a weapon, making a weapon that they could, bioweapons are common. I mean, this is not the first time they've ever had a biological agent which was sprayed or released into the environment to kill people for whatever reason. And so when you question these authorities as to why would you do this kind of research knowing it could kill the whole world, why would you do this? They say, well, somebody else would create it in some secret lab and release it, and we want to have a copy of that and a vaccination for it in case it happens, just in case. Huh? That's the reason? In other words, they're agreeing to take a virus which is so contagious to a human, put a spike protein into it, manufacture this thing, create the spike protein, and then develop therapies. Well, first you got to patent everything because they patented it all. They patent the virus, they patent the lab, they patented the testing involved. The PCR test has patents and rights. So does the virus, the vaccinations, the mRNA technology is all patented by your CDC, by the way. And, so that should be a quid. And when you question the CDC, why do you hold patents on viruses which kill people? And why do you hold patents on the testing? They say it's so they could control the people that utilize the technology because they own the patent. In other words, if somebody wants to create a test for it, they hold the patent to it so they can control the way the test is run, like for honesty, they said. And yet they benefit because they have to pay the CDC to utilize that grant. So when the CDC has a patent on the coronavirus backbone and the mRNA testing and the distribution, how they inject it, they have patents on how they inject it, and all of these things. When a manufacturer wants to use these, they have to pay the CDC for the right to use that technology. And hence, you've got the revolving door from medicine to government, to bureaucracy, back into medicine, back into money. It's just this revolving door. I watched a program on Epic Times. Highly suggest this. Facts Matter with Roman Balkanov. It's called Facts Matter, and he had something yesterday which showed the FDA and the people that were the head of the FDA over the last 10 years of FDA appointed directors. 3 of them are now on the board for Pfizer. In other words, they worked for the FDA for several years as the director. They went into the workforce and they were picked up by Pfizer as board of directors. So all 3 of these guys are now board of directors for Pfizer. Pfizer is the number one source of revenue for CNN when it comes to advertising. Most of the shows you see are sponsored by Pfizer. Right now, they had a secret video. They sent an undercover video with Project Veritas, which you can Google that, Veritas, and it shows a Pfizer scientist with an undercover video being interviewed at a restaurant about what's happening at Pfizer recently. And it was really interesting to hear what he said, because he said that, Pfizer is 100% committed to vaccine application, research, and creating more vaccinations to continue to protect people from the coronavirus. That's what he said. And he said, but what's really bothering him, is disturbing, is that within the last 5 months, all of their income has come from COVID. In other words, Pfizer's board of all the money they're getting is now coming from COVID vaccinations and government contracts. And their goal, and he's very fearful that they've lost touch with what it's like to be a pharmaceutical company, and they're just serving this COVID narrative. And everything he says they're doing is about keeping the shots going, keeping the meds going. They do lobbyists. They have lobby groups. Pfizer is, pharmaceutical companies are known to lobby governments, as are Amazon, as is Google. But the amount that they have marketed Moderna and Pfizer, the amount of lobbyists and the money that they've spent on politician bureaucracy creating so they get their agendas through, has gone up like 400 to 500%. They would have, Moderna used to have one rep that was a lobbyist before they struck it big. Now they have like 15 in the government promoting and pushing their what they want to have done in the government. And that's how the government works, unfortunately. So, I'm going to make a very bold statement here, you guys, and I hope you're paying attention, because I am truly trying to help humanity here. I've had a lot of success at the Slim Body Laser Spa. We get rid of fat. We use a laser. It's guaranteed. 6,000 people going on 12 years. God, millions of dollars in services. Happy, healthy people. 150 Google reviews that are positive. Not one negative thing that's really out there, other than maybe somebody ate too much and got their fat back, but nobody's ever died or been hurt. And what I think is going to be really obvious to all of you pretty soon, and I'm going to be the first one to say it, not the first one, but this is a bioweapon. COVID-19 was created by, I don't know, globalists, China, maybe our own government to decrease population. I don't know, but I can tell you this: it didn't come from the freaking from that stupid bat. It didn't come from some wet lab. It came out of China, man. It came out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where they were doing gain-of-function research, which means they were taking viruses which do not make people sick, mixing things with them to see how they can get them to infect humans. That's what they were doing there. And somehow this horrible thing got out, and they're not by accident. Was, all the doctors there, most of them, and the ones that didn't, they died, they disappeared. China, got rid of them. China also had, timing was everything with this Wuhan virus. In 2018, 19, they had the military games were held in Wuhan. Now that is the military games where there's 120 countries sent their top military people to compete in these games in Wuhan. That was at the exact they released this virus, and China stopped any flights from coming into China as a result of this virus, but they allowed flights to go to all these different countries from the games. Now they know that people at those games were infected. They have proof of that. So it seems that possibly the release of the timing of releasing of this weapon happened at the same time that over 100 countries, military leader, best military were there. And then they got on planes and they flew back to their countries. And then you see this explosion of COVID all around the world. Coincidence? Maybe. Bioweapon? Much more likely. If it was, I think that the treatments, the medical doctors for treatment, that you'd be following medical advice from doctors that not somebody on TV that CNN's paying. And, from that realization of how you would treat the human population very differently if you thought it was an accidental virus that got out by accident and we're trying to save humanity. You'd have therapeutic measures. You'd have, people getting together to help each other in so many ways. Medicine would, it wouldn't, there's so much about this that shows it's tyrannical and it's fascism because of the corporate move. And then to silence anybody from talking about it, to put doctors in jail for recommending vitamins, saying they were treating COVID. There is such a push to get this shot in all of us that it really is very suspect of a bioweapon. And then the idea to get it in there is under the fear that you're going to die if you don't get it. That's how they do it. In other wars, they stand you up in front of a wall and they shoot you because you're not giving in. Here, they create so much fear and so much anxiety and personal persecution from other people if you don't comply, that you're going to comply to have the shot so you can fly, so you could see your family, so you could go to the nursing home. Yet they're proving that people that had the shot have more spike proteins, are more likely to transmit it to somebody else when you're fully vaccinated because you've destroyed your immune system from the shot. So what they're proving is the shot is the weapon now. First, it was the bioweapon, which is the virus, which sickened a lot of people, but not world changing. 1% is not the world. It's not a lot. But this vaccine, come on, it's not a vaccine. It's a therapy. It's a shot. It's a jab. I call it the jab because it's injecting the same spike protein into your body that they identified is what makes people sick. See, that's what I really, and it's admitted. I have it in the paperwork here of where it is and how it works. And I have this thing by the CDC, and this is, and I'm not making this up. This is from the CDC, and it says how mRNA COVID-19 vaccines work. If you'd like to know, so it's not a vaccine, so that's the first thing. So there's the first lie. A vaccine is an attenuated strain of a virus that's been identified and categorized, which COVID's never been. They've never really identified it. And because they won't give it to us, it's in China. They won't let us see it. And thus it's not attenuated. So they're not really injecting the virus into you to build immunity, which is what a vaccine is. It's a gene therapy. It's a therapeutic procedure to prevent the illness from being worse than it is if you didn't have it. And people, that's a therapy. That's not a vaccine. A vaccine confers immunity. It confers that you're not going to get it later on, and it confers that you're not going to spread it to other people. That's what a vaccine means to most people. This shot does not prevent you from giving it to somebody else. It doesn't prevent you from getting it, and it doesn't lessen the viral load if you got it. So it's not a vaccine. It's a therapy. And thus, it should not be covered under the National Vaccine Indemnity Act. In other words, those manufacturers that are making this poison shot are completely indemnified if you were to have a reaction to it. You can't sue them. You can't collect any money. You're done. You got to go off and suffer. I watched a video with Senator Johnson, who is the senator, I believe, from, God, I don't want to miss, Montana, maybe. And he had 7 people that were there to tell their story about their situation with Pfizer, and they volunteered their children to have the shots as part of the sample testing before they gave this emergency usage. So they had a young girl in there who was about 12 years old. And in February, she volunteered to be one of the trial people in the shots to see if it can be given to children. And she wanted to do it. Her mother agreed to do it. And she did it because she wanted to help the people in the world. That's why she did it. Well, this kid developed the worst symptoms, adverse effects from this shot I've ever seen she's alive, so she's not dead. And when you saw her, she was in a wheelchair that had her head supported in an angle because of the spasms and the tics, the shaking. If you wrote down every symptom you could imagine, from neurological disease to bed to no control of your bowels or bladder, to bones that that spontaneously snap. She had it all. I mean, this kid, and this was from February, and I watched this video, in August, and there was 7 other parents that had their children. And here's the sticker about this. We know there was side effects from this drug. We know it can be very severe. Do you know that the side effects that those people have are not covered by the drug manufacturer? Pfizer does not pay for any of their adverse reactions. And they made blatant statements stating most likely it was not from the vaccine, but it was from something pre-existing. So, wow. Okay. So here's how they work. Here's how the viruses, this is according to the CDC. Coronaviruses, like the one that causes COVID-19, are named for their crown-like spikes on their surface called spike proteins. These spike proteins are ideal targets for vaccines. So they're saying that the spike protein is what they're targeting. What is an mRNA? Messenger RNA, or mRNA, is genetic material that tells your body how to make proteins. So your mRNA is genetic material that you have within you that makes proteins. And these proteins are what make you alive. These proteins build muscle, they build cell walls, they build tissue. This is your body's, how it creates life, is through protein synthesis. And mRNA is the directions. And they're very specific. It's given to you through millions and millions and millions of years. These mRNAs have been developed to give you proteins that are necessary for your body to live and survive. So, what is in the vaccine? The vaccine is made of mRNA wrapped in a coating that makes delivery easy and keeps the body from damaging it. So, I want to know what's in the vaccine. They didn't tell me what's in the vaccine. They're just saying it's made of mRNA, which is protein transcriptase, to make the proteins. And it's wrapped in a coating, which is a lipid nanoparticle. It's fat that makes it slip into the cell so the body doesn't damage it. No, so the body's immune system doesn't throw it out the door like it should. It's kind of like there's a criminal, somebody really evil outside, and they're trying to gain access into your house. And it's real obvious that they're a criminal. They got weapons. They got big scar on their face. They're bad. And in order to get into your house, you dress them in an old lady's outfit so they could sneak in and get into the house. That's what coating a viral particle with fat does. That viral particle that has that mRNA spike protein, which they're attempting to get into your cells, your body would never let it in if it knew what it was. So it keeps the body from damaging it, it says. No, it keeps the body from rejecting the poison pus that it is, which is expelling it to get it out because it's not natural. So they coat it in this lipid particle so it goes into the cell. Now what happens? Once it goes into the cell, this is from the CDC. I'm not making this stuff up. The mRNA in the vaccine, in other words, that piece of transcriptase, which has the spike protein in it, teaches your cells. Doesn't teach your cell. I love it. Teaches your cells how to make copies of the spike protein. If you are exposed to the real virus later on, your body will recognize it and know how to fight it off. That is bularchy. That is B with a capital S. It teaches your cells. It doesn't teach your cells. It hijacks your cell. It injects a protein into your cell, and the body starts replicating the protein because that's what it does. And it has no limit onto how many it makes. It can make a few spike proteins, or it could make a lot, and they've proven that. So they're giving you an injection, which is making a spike protein that they identified on the corona. Now, here's another really scary thought. Those spike proteins that they're giving you are synthetically made in a lab. They're synthesized, and they use the fetal aborted tissue lines and these other things to make them, which is why so many people are objecting, saying it's got aborted. Now, Moderna and Pfizer have the cell lines that were from somebody from the 50s, so they're not actually using the actual cell itself. It's replicated many times over. But the other one, the J&J, the Janssen shot, that actually has pieces of aborted fetal tissue within the injection itself. And so they're making your body into a machine which makes the spike protein. Now, if I came up to somebody that's never been immunized or never had any of these things before, and I took blood and looked for a spike protein, you do not have it. It's not in there. But if you've taken one of these gene therapy shots, your body is now manufacturing spike proteins. The same spike proteins which are what kill you from corona. Now you're taking them as a shot to manufacture these proteins. Holy moly, is that nuts? So here's their little thing that says, the vaccine does not contain any virus. Well, no, I'm not going to say it. No shit, doesn't contain any virus. Give you COVID-19. Okay. We're not talking about getting COVID-19. It's the spike proteins that make you sick, not COVID-19. So it does give you the spikes. When your body responds to a vaccine, it can sometimes cause mild fever, headache, or chills. This is normal and a sign that the vaccine is working. Here's another one, which is not true. After the mRNA delivers the instructions, hijacks your cellular function to make these spike proteins, your cells break it down and get rid of it. Boy, that's been proven to be not true. There's autopsies of people that have died with COVID after vaccination that had so much. They had so much. It was in every single organ in the system: heart, lung, kidneys, testes, down in the bloodstream and all around the endothelial cells. But these spike proteins are microscopic, and the damage is microscopic. So to look at somebody in a gross autopsy without examining it very carefully, you don't see it. But they're filling people with spike proteins. That's the weapon. And your body is struggling to heal itself to get rid of this stuff. So when they go back and check you, they say, wow, you don't have any more proteins. There's less. So they want to give you another dose of proteins, another dose of spike protein, like you don't have enough. And then when that runs out, then they got the boosters, more spike proteins, more spike proteins. That's what they're giving you. They're not giving you any immunity. They're not creating a stronger immune system. It's the truth. Makes me very sad to tell you that. It's humanity, we need each other, and either we start taking care of our lives, our health, and our wellness, and managing, body fat and nutrition, and your ability to exercise, and stop taking the drugs that they're giving you. Start looking for natural remedies. Start exercising more. Go to chiropractors. Get more massages. Go to acupuncture. You got to get off the meds. You got to stop taking the medications. I'm 30. I'm 61 years old. I did not go to a doctor to a medical doctor, except for when I was born, until I was 17 years old and I broke my arm at the Pelican Hotel here in Florida skateboarding. That was my first time ever going to a doctor. I never took meds, never been given antibiotics. I didn't need them. And you're going to have to make a choice here. Either you're going to live naturally and live with a vitalistic approach, or you're going to buy into the germ theory that germs are your enemy, and you got to do anything you can to kill the germs. And I can tell you, get in today. If you're interested, give me a call. My phone number is 772-223-5885. You know where we're located. We're on East Ocean Boulevard across from the Fresh Market. I'm not there to talk about COVID. I'm there to talk about how I can help you to be healthier by losing body fat, getting more active, and detoxification. That's what we do there. You can lose 3 to 9 inches of stubborn fat lying on your back, listening to music. At the same time, you're given a nutritional program so you can start eating better and start losing weight on your own. We don't want you to live there at our office. We want you to get the information and send somebody else in. That's our goal. We're in Stewart on East Ocean. Give us a call. We have openings, free consultation, and enjoy yourself. It's a wrap. Bye-bye.